Tennessee is a basketball team that I believe is finding itself. And I wrote over the weekend that Chaz Lanier being the go-to scorer 90 to 100% of the time is not going to work out. They've got to figure out plays for Igor Milicic and Darling Stone Dubar. Would you agree with that?
Totally agree.
Okay. So I really feel like it should be like 30, 30, 30. Like you go, let's say 30, 30, 30, 10. So I think that you should go to Igor 30% of the time, and this will keep teams off balance. You Dubar 30% of the time, Chaz 30% of the time, and then you've got stuff that's worked up for like a backdoor screens, Kai Ziegler, 10%. So that's just kind of roughly where I'm putting it. I know it's not that easy. But your thoughts on Tennessee basketball?
I think Tennessee basketball needs to apply load management to this season. And I know you guys are going to call me crazy on that. I know the world is going to think I'm insane. Dave right now in his mind is like, you can't do load management for basketball. Are you not, Dave? Are you not already thinking that?
Not really, because it's worked in the NBA. I mean, I hate it because I'll give you, for instance, we went to see the Nets and in Atlanta because I wanted my son to see Kevin Durant, and I didn't buy the ticket till like the day of because I didn't know who was going to play. So I hate it, but I probably wouldn't argue with you on it. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I've got some data to back this up, by the way, that I think is going to kind of be interesting to you. So up until this year, so over the past 3 years, let's say that 2022 through 2024, the Big 12 has had the number one ranked conference RPI every one of the past 3 years. They've had a grand total of one Final Four team in the past 3 years. The last time the SEC had the number one RPI, Dave, was way back in 2003. They didn't have a team make the Final Four that year. Everybody flamed out. Everybody lost to a lower seed that year. This is actually kind of a common theme throughout college basketball if you go back through history. More often than not, the conference that is considered the most loaded conference during the regular season, everybody laughs because they have the worst flameouts in the NCAA tournament. I'm sure you've remembered covering those narratives, right?
Yes.
They're not on solid ground. They're not perception. That's reality. Do you remember back in the day, I mean, the Big East, ACC, whenever they're considered the deepest conference, they have the worst flameouts. Here's why that's relevant. I think they're connected. The grind of a tough conference schedule, I think, wears teams down for the NCAA tournament. Let me just talk about the NFL playoffs real quick. The NFC North, you know about the NFC North this year, right, Dave? How loaded they were? Green Bay, Minnesota, and Detroit all making the playoffs. Detroit, Minnesota being the two best teams, probably in the NFC.
Yes.
They all lost their first playoff game. I don't think that's a coincidence. It's no doubt that the SEC is by far the toughest conference in basketball this year. Every night is a grind. Tennessee has yet to play every team they've played this year is either a ranked team or a team with a winning record that they're facing on the road. And they're doing it again with Mississippi State. The brutality of this schedule, with them only having 7 or 8 guys they can run, is putting them in dogfights every single time out. It's going to wear them down. Truth of the matter is, they're going to make the NCAA tournament with a winning record. That's all they really need, honestly. And I think at this point, because of that, it's time to start resting guys on nights. It's time to pick a night. Chaz Lanier, you're off tonight. Zakai Ziegler, you're off Saturday. I think it's time to start doing that and maybe sometimes rest them all at once, maybe once every 4 games, and put some walk-ons in. I'm sorry. That's
breaks my heart for you to say it. It breaks my heart for me to agree. I couldn't coach that way, even if in the back of my mind I thought it was the best way to a national championship. Maybe I'm old school like Rick Barnes. And the question, Darling Stone, who's that? Now, I'm talking about that everybody gets up to speed. And I realize we're approaching late January and Dubar had a personal issue, and I understand he's not up to speed, but I still think he'll be one of Tennessee's. Ziegler's a distributor, but I still think he'll be one of Tennessee's top 3 players aside from Ziegler. Is that fair?
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, if he's not, then this discussion is moot, right? I mean, if it's just if Igor and Chaz are the only 2 guys driving the train, then it doesn't matter. So, because they need more, and we've seen that with Chaz. Now, when you go into this, you have to say this. You're putting yourself in a position to not get a good seed in the NCAA tournament, because I know you also believe they should throw the SEC tournament. So,
well, the SEC tournament won't help their seeding at all anyway. But yeah,
okay. But it can hurt. I mean, I think the first 2 days can hurt.
Tennessee got the 2 seed. Tennessee just got a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament last year, and after losing the first game.
That's true. They're incredibly lazy and they don't want to redo the bracket. All right, so let's forget the SEC tournament. So, how many games could this cost Tennessee? How many losses? And I think you would agree that you don't want to be in that 8-9 game. You'd much rather be in that 2-14 or 1-16 seed game. So that you don't want to slip in that 7-8, 6-10 range. Even 5-11. There's an upset there every year.
I think so. You don't do load management tonight. I think when you're playing ranked teams at home, that's where you get your quality wins. Would you agree with me on that?
Yes.
So I think you when you play Mississippi State tonight, and when you play Kentucky next week, and when you play Florida next week, and when you play Missouri next week, all at home, all top 25 games, you play your starters. But when you visit Auburn on Saturday, the number 1 ranked team in the nation, yeah, backups, play all your backups. You're probably not winning that game anyway. Rest everybody. And I'm going to pour me some coffee while I say it. Sit back. If you're the players, pour some coffee like this, guys, and just sit and watch.
Okay.
Rest everybody.
Okay. But
it's not going to be a bad loss, and you're probably not going to win the game.
Okay. Dylan says not an SEC play. We're already thin on the bench as well. So who are you going to play? Does Zach Turner have any eligibility remaining?
Wow, that's a throwback. You're going to play your walk-ons. Here's who you're going to play. All right, I got the list right here. You're going to play Ben Lindmeyer and Gavin Paul and Grant Hurst and Campbell Duncan, baby. Let's go, okay? They're going to be your starters. I'm dead serious. Take the L at Auburn. Gun to your head. It's Tennessee beating Auburn on Saturday at Auburn.
Quite possibly. You're just missing it a little too easily.
No. At Auburn, you rest everybody. At Kentucky, you rest everybody. At Oklahoma, I play that game because I think Oklahoma's a winnable game on the road. But at Auburn, here's my load management games. And I'm dead serious. These are the games where I would do load management. This Saturday at Auburn. Saturday, February the 11th at Kentucky. Saturday, February the 22nd at Texas A&M. And Saturday, March the 5th at Ole Miss. And then I'd throw the SEC title game. I'm dead serious. I would do load management for all of those games. And
wait, you throw the SEC title game, so you want to stay in it till Sunday? You lost me there.
No. Oh, sorry. Throw the SEC tournament. I'm so used to talking football with the SEC
tournament. Sorry. I was like, if you get Sunday, you might as well win it.
Yeah. No, throw the SEC tournament. So yeah, this Saturday, rest at Auburn. Saturday, February the 11th, rest at Kentucky. And here's the thing. You're getting more rest later in the year, so you're going to get fresher because then you have at Texas A&M and at Ole Miss. So, yeah, 4 games where I would bench everybody. I wouldn't play a soul, okay? And I would sit there and I would say, I'll take the 4 L's. So what? You're probably not winning any of those games anyway. You just lost at Vanderbilt. You also got blown out at Florida. There's games you're just not going to win, guys. Auburn's one of those games this year. Take the L, focus on winning your home games, win what you can. You take those 4 L's, you'll probably finish the season, I'd say like 12-6 in the SEC. 12-6 in the SEC with 7 overall losses, 8 if you talk about the SEC tournament. That's enough to get you in the 4 range given the schedule this year. So get the 4 or 3 seed.
But let me ask you this. That all sounds good, but do you believe that Rick Barnes, who is 70 years old, will actually do it? Fire protection needs Double D Piping.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beat. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping.
Okay. I would have said previously, like just a couple years ago, there's no way Rick Barnes Old School would do this. There's no chance. Caleb, you're insane. He's never going to agree with you. He thinks you're crazy. He's listening somewhere because I know he watches the show every day, and he's like, Caleb's still crazy. It wasn't just the cold medicine. But I think that it's a possibility with what Rick Barnes said about Chaz is going to sit on the bench because he's paid to shoot. That's forward thinking, okay? There is a chance that Caleb was right and Tennessee essentially threw the SEC tournament last year.
There's not a chance.
Okay.
There's not a chance.
That would be forward thinking. And Caleb,
that is factual.
Caleb was ahead of the curve. And I think we've seen, now turn into football for a second, Michigan and Ohio State be ahead of the curve with load management, not load management, with keeping players instead of doling out a lot of money via NIL. I would have trouble doing this in my heart, but my head says you might be onto something. I want to see comments from the message board. And then we had one comment from Tennessee Smokey that said Bruce tried this at Auburn with some success. I don't recall that, Caleb, but is this something you just came up with or you've seen another team do?
No, it's something I came up with. As a matter of fact, I thought about it with Ohio State winning the national title even more. I thought about it over the weekend after the NFC North flameouts in the playoffs. And I thought, how could the NFC North be such a deep division all year and then just flame out in the playoff? And I thought, I think they beat themselves up playing each other all year, honestly. And I really do think that happened. And then I thought Ohio State losing to Michigan, that benefited them, did it not? I think they didn't have to play in the Big Ten title game, gave them a break. I have to be honest. By the way, thanks for the correction, guys. I just noticed Dave never fixed his name.
That's your job, but go ahead.
Oh, wow. Okay. I would, but I want to address what Matt SS said, because he said, oh, so throw all the important games. Matt, that seems like all the important games because every single SEC game is a ranked game this year. You're forgetting all the times they're playing at home. I'm not saying throw any of these home games. I'm saying every home game you show up for. But here's the question. Dave's asking whether or not Rick Barnes would do this. I would like to think he would. I don't think he would go this far, Dave. He's playing Zakai Ziegler 34 minutes a game right now, and he's playing Chaz Lanier 30 minutes. So he's still living by that annoying philosophy of you earn your playing time. And I keep trying to say, it's not about players earning playing time. It's about your starters earning rest so they're fresh during the NCAA tournament. And because here's the thing. I think you would agree with me on this. If you've managed your roster right, depth is really overrated once you get to the tournament. Everybody shortens their rotation in the postseason. Everybody.
Yes.
They want to run their best players. You can't, but the problem with Barnes is he shortens his rotation the entire season. And that causes problems in the tournament. I'm saying do it. Load management, baby. Don't throw those 4 games. Just rest your starters in those 4 games. That's all I'm saying. Maybe you'll win one of them still. Okay, Tennessee did. We're talking about a program that Tennessee did beat Kansas with like 3 walk-ons one time about 10, 12 years ago. So rest your starters at Auburn. That's a loss anyway. Rest them at Kentucky. That's a loss anyway. Rest them at Ole Miss and rest them at Texas A&M. Rest them those 4 games. And then rest them in the SEC tournament. Don't play anybody in the SEC tournament. I mean, just, don't even show up for the SEC tournament. Just forfeit that one, okay? Be like, I don't want to be here.
All right. Timothy is so absolutely disillusioned with Caleb's take that he shared this and paid us $5 for that. We appreciate it. Well-spoken like an analytics loser. Boom.
Yeah, there's a problem with that. The analytics losers are the ones actually winning in sports right now. So, the teams that employ analytics. I'm saying this. Load management is coming to college basketball. I don't know when. I don't know where. I don't know how. But with the way the NBA is doing it.
I'm sorry, we got the Sanctuary who agrees with you. The whole point is to be peaking in March. How in the world can you do that? Taking games off. Peaking isn't rested. It's playing your best ball. I'm going to defend Caleb for a second. I think having more energy at the end of the season is more significant. Now, let's do this. Let's give this backdrop. In the NBA, there are times in which they'll play a game, fly at night, and then play the next night. It's called a 2-for-2 night or a double night or whatever. They've got a term. The players have a term.
Back-to-backs.
Yeah, but I thought it had another. But anyway, the union is actually fighting to not have those anymore. The load on them, speaking of load management, you would agree is much greater in the NBA than it is any college basketball player. Plus those guys are 20, 21 years old, so their bodies should be able to handle it better, right?
Yes, and not only that, the playoffs are so long in the NBA. I mean, you got to win 4 7-game series. So it's not like the NCAA tournament where it's, just 6 games. That's not to say that it's not the advantage, though. That's not to say that it's not a model college basketball can't follow. Now, let me tell you guys this up front. I'm not a fan of load management. I think it's ruining the NBA. But it's the fault of the NBA, and it's the fault of college basketball for setting up a system that has totally devalued the regular season. And I told you guys, I don't like devalued regular seasons, but we're here. So because we're here, I think college basketball teams should employ load management. Because, Dave, the truth of the matter is seeding is very much arbitrary in the NCAA tournament. There's no real advantage to being the higher seed. What advantage does the 8 seed have over the 9 seed? They have the exact same path. There's no advantage.
Well, but wait, that's apple. You're comparing apples and apples. Apples and oranges are a 1 or 2 seed as opposed to being an 8 or 9 seed.
Until
the second round,
college basketball gives home court advantage to the higher seed in the NCAA tournament, I'm going to call for load management, and I think they should start doing it. Because without the advantage of home court advantage of being the higher seed, then being a higher seed is just a number by your name. So I think college basketball teams, you're going to see it, will start employing load management, and it's going to be disastrous for the sport.